Welcome to the Vera Thomas Show, where testimony, reality and truth meet you at the front door. Perspective to propose. Politics, religion, we talk about the real world we live in. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it on the Vera Thomas Show. From purpose, uplift, encourage, inspire, motivate, and let's talk about it on the Vera Thomas Show. The Vera Thomas Show.
Hello, hello, hello. I am so excited tonight about my guest, Miss Cynthia Klein. How are you today?
Doing great.
Well, I am so glad you're here, and I'm so glad that we're going to have this conversation about 3 keys that ensure your kids care for you as you age. But before we get into our conversation, let me share a little bit about Cynthia Klein. First of all, she is the Family Harmony Creator. Her mission is to contribute to the world peace, and the family is the one place to begin. As a Family Harmony Creator for over 30 years, parents learn how to communicate more effectively with their children as an ally rather than an adversary. Her unique family harmony formula teaches a step-by-step process to create greater harmony in your home. Cynthia focuses on teaching parents of 5 to 7-year-olds language and actions that build greater influence, which leads to connection, cooperation, and collaboration. All family types, parents living together, separate, divorced, and single can learn how to have open dialogue, solve problems together, support one another, and build mutual respect in all relationships. Her online program, Win-Win-Win Parenting, is a great way to learn her unique approach. Cynthia is the author of Ally Parenting and has spoken in person at over 650 schools and organizations, successfully coaching over 3,000 private parenting sessions, and taught numerous online workshops. She earned a child psychology degree at UC Berkeley, taught elementary school, and is certified in adult and parenting education. Well, I am just honored, I mean seriously honored to have you here with me today. And I'm going to start with my first question. What was your childhood like, and how did it impact you?
Well, that's a great question, because we are all impacted by our childhood. I think
Yes.
one of the key things is that my mother wasn't able to be emotionally connected at all because of her upbringing. And that was something really lacking. I felt that lack of that. And it hurt. And I can remember, like, as a teenager thinking, when I have a teenage girl, I want to be connected to her. I don't want her to feel like I am disconnected and kind of not really loved. I felt loved by my father, but not by my mother. And so that it's kind of like the determination of doing the work that I do started then. But I think at the same time that I had another parent that supported and loved me, and I felt that unconditional, which is why I really particularly like to help dads, because my dad was so important to me. So, yes, it definitely impacted me a great deal.
That's amazing. And 60% of adults who have unresolved issues, those issues do stem from their childhood. And so whatever your mother went through, it left her unable to deal emotionally or to
Mhm.
give you that emotional intelligence that you needed. But thank God for your father, you know? And oh, just knowing I have such a affinity towards fathers as well, but that's because I did not know my biological father.
Mm,
And my relationship with my stepfather was challenged. And
mm,
so being able to talk to and relate to fathers, I'm the same way. It's just very important. And little girls need their dads. Very much so.
yes.
Very much so. You wonder why you have people, women, looking for love in all the wrong places because they didn't have that relationship with their dad. And so we're here to talk about how do we have children from the beginning, because you can't wait until a child is grown and then wonder why don't they have an affinity towards me, why aren't they
Right.
taking care of me. And I remember when I was in Los Angeles and I was at a restaurant, and this family was in the restaurant with their senior mother, telling her that they were putting her in a nursing home. And they did
Mhm.
this in public. And
Oh, no.
I know it was devastating for me to hear the conversation. But I have to say, I really think, remember that show, What Would You Do?
Yes. It's
I
still
think
on. It's
I
still on,
think
actually.
that was one of their episodes, because for a
Um,
parent to do that to their child, for a child to do that to their parents in public, and I wanted to say something, but at the time I didn't have the courage to say anything, but I wanted to say, how dare you come to
mm,
a public place and talk to your mother like this, but anyway, we want to avoid that, and you have to start at an early age. And so I'm just glad that we're able to talk about these things now. And I do have your website up, and people can, I'm going to also put it in the comments so that people will see it and be able to reach out to you, and also your email address. And you also have a gift that we'll be talking about as well. In the meantime, before we start, I want to say, please like, share, and comment on and subscribe to the Vera Thomas Show. And I know there are people listening that I don't see the count, but I know that you're out there. So please like, share, comment, and subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it. Now, Cynthia, tell me, I understand your premise for getting into this work, and
mhm.
I am amazed at all the lives you have touched. So
Yes.
can you share with us some of your experiences and maybe even some stories about some families that you have helped?
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I want to say is that my mother was really challenged with, I didn't hear I love you from her. And my daughter and I talked about that. So she lived till she was 93. And We didn't put her away. She did move to a really nice place. And my daughter and I decided that we really wanted to work on her ability to say, I love you. And I wanted to work on my ability to say, I love you to her. Because I had a hard time because I wasn't hearing it from her. And so, just like a year or two before she passed away, my daughter and I decided, you know what, we're going to start saying, I love you to my mother. And I'll have to tell you, it was challenging to do it, but I did it. I started, it's like I had all this hurt, and I was like, I'm going to pull out the love because even if there's hurt, there's also love.
Yes.
So I pulled that out because there was a lot of hurt of not feeling loved and appreciated and valued, and her saying things to me, and because of how she was, right? So we started, each of us saying, I love you. And what was amazing is in just a couple months, she actually started saying it back to us. Now, the actual proof of all of the impact of that, the people that were helping care for her told us that when they came to the memorial, which they would not have come, but because my mother changed, when we started saying, I love you, my mother started being nicer to all the people caring for her. They noticed a change. And so they came to her memorial. But that was so powerful for me. It's like that I was able to really totally let go of any
Yes.
negativity before she died. And that was really my goal. And so saying that, pulling that out, it impacted so many people.
That's amazing. And one of the questions that I ask when I'm doing trainings or coaching is, what do you wish you had been told when you were a child? And I cannot tell you how many people say, I wish I had been told I love you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
It's hard to imagine growing up and not being told I love you.
And if they weren't, so my father, when he was a senior, he started saying, I love you. I didn't hear it from him either, the background, but I could feel it. But so that's what I could feel it. But when he was late 70s, whenever I'd go over there, to me, to my daughter, he would start to say it. So he was able to open up. It's kind of like before he passed on his own, he was able to express that love. But yes, we need to hear it. It's very important. So being able to start low. So we started it right with my mother, and she
That's
was able to feel it. Yeah.
that's
So,
amazing. That is amazing. And so, what do you tell parents who are raising young children so that they can be connected as their parents age? So, what is it that you say to your
right.
to yes, talk
To
to me.
them, to help them out. Okay. So one of the key things is power, and who has the power and when they have it, to have power over their life. And parents struggle with this a lot. Like right now, there's a tendency for parents to think, I don't want to be mean like my parents, so I don't want to like set a rule. And I need to discuss everything with my kids so they'll feel heard. So what happens then is that kids feel like everything is a discussion and nobody has authority. So
And
yeah, so that's a
and
problem.
that is a problem because that's the permissive parent
Yes,
that is not setting boundaries and wanting to be their child's best friend. And
yes.
so that is a problem.
And I think one of the reasons it's a problem is they don't know how to set a rule respectfully and effectively where the child's self-esteem isn't hurt.
Right.
So if they grew up with, what, you should know better. Why did you do that? Why do I have to tell you over and over again? I should only tell you once. Turn off. So when they don't know how to respectfully set rules. And so that's one of the things that I teach parents, because when they know how to do it, when they know the timing of when it's their turn to set a rule or a limit, how to set their own personal boundaries, that's respectfully, that it won't hurt the relationship, then they're a lot more confident to actually set a rule. And
Yes.
that's where I tell them they play what's called the director role. Like they are saying to their kids, this is where I'm going to set the rules. So here we've got the three roles. We've got the director, the collaborator, and the supporter. And it's so important to understand when you want to do each one. So the director, you're saying, hey, this is a rule, it's a safety issue. I'm setting the rule. I'm not discussing it with you. Like, you really need to tell your kids, I'm not discussing, I'm making the decision. Maybe you're saying you have to wear a helmet if you ride your bike. Really say that that's the way it is. The collaborator is when you realize it's something that it's best to discuss together, like chores. Like you need to have a discussion about chores, maybe about when you're going to go on a trip, maybe about there's siblings having struggles. You want to have a discussion, a problem solving discussion about that. When it involves maybe homework, maybe if your child really wants to do homework but they're struggling with it, rather than you being a director and saying you have to do it when you first get home, you want to collaborate. And I teach collaborative problem solving. I teach, how do you have that discussion? What are the words you use? How do you keep the dialogue going? And when you collaborate, and make a plan, there's much more greater likelihood of following through. But I want to say something first before I leave the idea. Whenever you make a plan, let's say it's a chores plan you've made together, know that chances are the plan will fall apart within about a week. So it's important to every week to regroup. Okay, how's the chores going here? You've made a plan. How's the homework plan going? And look at it again, because when a plan starts to fall apart, and what happens, parents then start to take over as a director. They start getting angry and they start saying, okay, you said you were going to do that. You're supposed to do that. So if you start to be a director, in other words, if you start barking orders and acting as though it's your situation to solve, you got to go back and say, okay, wait a minute. I'm starting to boss everyone around in the morning. So our morning plan isn't working anymore, is it? Let's come back and regroup and redo what the plan is. And then the second piece is learning how to be a director, how to give respectful reminders. Like after, hey, we decided that you're going to do all your chores in the morning first. After you do your chores, then you can be on your tablet. So it's this juggling, like you collaborate together to come up with a plan. And often parents have to be a director to make sure the plan is followed through. So those are two important different parenting roles to know about.
Yes. And what you are expressing, because there are four major parental styles, and what you are describing is what would be a part of the authoritative parent.
Yes.
And when you are the authoritative parent, you set boundaries that are non-negotiable, and you do have guidelines that are flexible. And using this model of director, collaborator, supporter, that is great and help. And but so many parents don't understand how to do that, and it's basically parents tend to parent the way that they were raised.
Absolutely.
And when we know better, we do better. And being able to understand what we're talking about, and more parents need to be listening to this. And hopefully, when we do our summit, there will be parents that we can talk about these things and share it. And I'll be talking about the summit in a minute here. But you also have another piece, and it's going to cover us. I don't think we'll be able to,
Yeah.
let's see. Yes. But
So,
if,
yes. So this is the broader. So let me just mention the third role is the supporter role. Like on the signpost, they had director, collaborator, and supporter. So the
mm-hmm.
supporter is when you say to your child, this is your challenge to solve. I'm here to support you as you think about it. I'll listen to you. I'm not going to tell you what to do. You're going to make the decision. That is so crucial for parents to clearly say, I'm not going to say, well, if I were you, I would do this. No, like it's a friendship challenge. You're having struggles with a friend. And do not come in and say, well, if I were you, I think you should do this. Even if they ask you, what do you think I should do? And you want your child, your teenager, to start to really learn how to think about a problem and come up with
Yes,
solutions.
critical thinking skills.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So when you're a collaborator, they're working on their critical thinking skills. And when you're a supporter, you're helping them learn independence, helping them learn to make decisions. And it may work out, it may not. And that's what they need to hear also. So let's say they have a struggle with a friend and they're talking about it. And you may be able to say, well, what do you think let's say a friend isn't talking to them. And so you might say, what are some possible things you could do? Well, maybe they'll come up. If you present it like there's no right answer,
Right.
there's no right answer, what do you think you might want to try first after they brainstorm? That's what's missing. A lot of parents try to say to the kids, what are you going to do? And they say, I don't know. They say, I don't know, because they haven't had any opportunity to think about the possibilities.
Absolutely. And that's one thing, that's why asking questions and probing to get kids to think about their behaviors, about everything that they're going through is so critical. And it starts at an early age. You
Oh,
can
yeah.
employ this at an early age when your children start talking, being able to empower them at an early age to build that confidence, to build that self-esteem. And it's just absolutely critical that we are able to do that. That's why coaching parents and children is also so important to me, to be able to empower them. And I'm going to pull up a couple of other of your graphics for us to talk about. This is your logo.
Yes.
And can you explain to us the premise behind this logo?
Right. So actually, bridges to understanding. That's the whole basis of my business and my philosophy in life. How do we create those bridges between people? And actually, the logo is actually dialogue balloons. If you look carefully, they looks like leaves, but they're actually dialogue. So
Wow.
having different people speaking to each other, and the sense of building the connection between adults and children, it
Yes.
starts with adults learning to listen. So one thing you said, Vera, you talked about asking questions. And one thing that I talk to parents about is what's called communication blocks. And we have to be careful, because if we ask a question where the child feels interrogated, like they feel like how they're going to respond they'll be judged, they'll be criticized, they'll be told that why are you thinking that? You shouldn't do that. If you if you ask questions in a way that they shut down, chances are you've used what's considered interrogation communication blocks. So we need to be, it's a tricky thing to dance. It's like this dance, right? So they need to know, I promise I won't criticize, I won't judge. Like even
Yes.
kids, if you kids get in the car and you say, "How was your day?" Fine.
Right.
Because they're worried that you're going to start to ask them questions and probing, and then in some way you're going to criticize them. That's why they just say fine.
And I think the key is at an early age, showing your children that you're not going to judge, you're not going to criticize. You are just wanting them to express how they feel. And when children understand that you're not criticizing or judging them, that is what nurtures that communications between them and the parent. And it's very important to be able to emphasize. I think it's important to emphasize early on. I'm asking these questions because I really want to know what you're thinking, what you're feeling, without me judging, without me conjuring up my own thoughts about what you're
Right.
saying.
Right.
I want to hear you. I want you to know that I see you, I feel you, I hear you. Because kids, they want you, they want to know that you care to the point where you will listen to them with that eye to eye contact, bringing yourself down to their level and the
Mhm.
things of that nature. And so, absolutely. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
And listening also kind of what you're doing is you're providing a safe space for them
Yes.
to process. Because, I mean, look at people go to therapists all the time because that's a safe space for them to think and come up with decisions. So when you're asking questions, if it can be posed as this is just kind of help you think about it, also, like that's
Yes.
even more important. How are you? It's hard to make decisions. And sometimes we make decisions that don't turn out the best way and we have to try again. I mean, a lot of people have been divorced, right? So they
Right.
made a decision and it didn't turn out the way they wanted it to. But just like really letting them know, like, even if they're talking about it, there's lots of times you'll just kind of want to say, "Oh, wow,
Exactly.
that's
Exactly.
interesting." Hmm.
Yes, exactly. That's interesting. I see. I understand. Yes. Very important. And I'm going to bring up your book and ally parenting. That's what we're talking about today.
Yes,
Ally parenting, a
yes,
non adversarial approach to transform conflict into cooperation. This is so important.
yeah.
This
It's like,
show is
yeah.
so important because parents need to understand that it doesn't have to be a struggle. It doesn't have to be a tug of war when dealing with your children.
It took me quite a while to come up with this title. I mean, a lot of other titles. Like, what is it that I really feel? What is it that I'm really trying to express? And yeah, it's like most people, when you say, what does it feel like when you have an adversary? It feels negative. They
Yes.
don't like it. But when you
Right.
feel somebody's your ally, oh, they're on your side. And
Yes.
but parenting is hard because you
It
have this
is.
other person developing their own opinions, right? Their own challenges in their life and things that they want to do that are contrary to what you want. So then you get into this whole battle of who's supposed to control the child. I mean, I think of it as each person has their own destiny, their own path. And I really worked hard as a mother. My daughter is now 37. I really worked hard to let go of preconceived thoughts about how her life should be and to be able to support her. And so I had to do my own personal growth, Vera. Lots of personal growth as I raised my daughter. And I encourage parents to think of it as that way. Opportunity for
Absolutely.
personal growth.
Absolutely. And one of the things when you as you're because I raised my son as a single mom, and it was right after coming out of an abusive marriage, and the confidence and self-esteem that I had acquired prior to marriage, I had lost it all. So
Mm,
I
yeah,
had to relearn positivity, relearn self confidence and self-esteem, but I also understood that as I was learning these things, I needed to instill them in my son as well. And being able to acknowledge his strengths, his gifts, his talents, and which is what I encourage parents to do. Observe what your children are gravitating towards and then nurture that instead of trying to impose on them what you want them to be.
yes, yes,
Allow them to find out for themselves by nurturing and building on what it is that they're showing areas of talent, areas of strengths, areas of capability, and giving
right,
them the tools, the resources, whatever is needed in order for that to happen.
right. And that's tough, letting go of your agenda. And when kids misbehave or do, especially more the older they get, or even any, they're around you and they're misbehaving, is be careful of thinking that you have control over them and they are a reflection of you. So a lot of times parents get very angry at their children misbehaving because they think, oh my God, people are going to see my child misbehaving and they're going to blame me. And so then the parent fuels the misbehavior. And so learning to step back, because I had many times as my daughter was growing up that she was doing some things that were not necessarily the best for her life. And so I've had lots of practice.
Yes, we both have. We both have. I remember just constantly saying to my son, association breeds assimilation. You become what you are around. And it was very important for me to meet the parents of the kids that he was hanging around. I would even go to their house and introduce myself so that I
Wow.
knew what type of parent of the children my son was hanging around. And there were a couple times when I went and visited these kids they were coming over to our house, and I was like, Miles, I want to know their parents. Okay, so there were a couple times when I visited a home, and I told my son, Miles, be careful. This may not be the best friend for you. Be careful. And I can honestly say that these boys, they were trouble. And
Mhm.
I thank God that every time they got in trouble, my son just happened to not be with them.
Ah.
And I mean serious trouble. One is in prison for the rest of his life. One
Mm.
just got out of spending 17 years. And these
Mhm.
were kids that came to my house, okay, when my son was
Wow.
growing up, you know. But being able to see their parents, meet their parents, talk with their parents, see the environment, I was at least able to say to him, just be careful. Association breeds assimilation. These are things that parents need to do at an early age
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
show that you are an ally without imposing yourself, because we don't have any even with our kids, we don't have any control over how they relate, react, and respond,
Nope.
and yet we try to force that. And as a parent, you need to just embrace the strengths that they have, and let's talk about misbehavior and what are some of the best ways to deal with misbehavior. Temper tantrums. My son had one in a grocery store, and I mean, he was like between 4 and 6. I don't remember the exact age, but he just fell out in the grocery store. And I just looked at him and started walking away. He got up and he never did it again, because that's not how you get attention. That's not how you get what you want. But I'm not going to stand in this store and argue with you, force you to get up and go through all those changes. I'm not doing that. You know? And so, how do you help us help parents identify ways to deal with misbehavior?
Yeah. Well, that's a great example, because I would love to share with you a couple that I coached recently, and they actually had a 3-year-old. And usually I don't coach parents until the kids are like 5, but they really wanted my help. And so I was kind of amazed how much my system, family harmony formula, worked for a 3-year-old. And so you had showed earlier, like there's the three chevron, there's
Yes,
the
let me pull it
decide.
up.
Yeah. And I can tell how this, so decide, the first one is decide who has what parenting role, who has the power to make the decision. So you decide whether the parent has the power, whether you have a joint power, or whether the child has the power. And what was happening, the child was having tantrums and hitting them a lot. Yeah, they were very upset about that. And they would tell them to stop. And do you think stop helped? No.
No.
Sorry, right. It's just like your story about in the store. So they came, but they didn't know what to do because they were trying to control their son. And also, the dad was also trying to have discussions with his son about how could the son control himself. And it was very obvious at that age that he couldn't. Like they put him in the room, which of course when you usually put a child who's craving connection, which is, we found out that's why he was misbehaving.
Say that again.
He was craving connection and belonging. That's one of the 4 goals. And because he was doing in a negative way through undue attention seeking. And so they decided that rather than having it collaboration, the boy could not figure out how to control himself. Like they would put him in the room and they'd say, "Can you come out now and not hit?" He'd say no. Like he knew he couldn't. Like that, at 3 years old, he couldn't have a discussion and control himself. So we decided it was more like a director role. Like the parents had to kind of think of strategies to do to help their child. Okay, the second part is they had to discover what was going on. And so I mentioned that a moment ago. They discovered that their child had a goal of 2 things. One, he really was trying to get connection and belonging. That's one main goal. Another goal is power. He was wanting power, but mostly he wanted a sense of belonging and connection to his parents. So they had to figure out how to give him how to help him feel connected without him doing it in a negative way. So undue attention seeking, kicking, hitting was a way of him getting connected because his parents responded to him, right? Like they'd say no, or they'd get upset with him, but that he still felt connected.
Attention. Yeah, he needed that attention.
Undue attention. So when I worked with the parents, we started figuring out what they were doing that was contributing to him feeling disengaged. Like, stop that, leave me alone. So they were saying things to try to push him away. Okay. So they were very creative parents, came up with some different strategies to help him feel connected before he was hitting. So here's the key. With a lot of misbehavior, look at it as What is the goal of the behavior? Are they trying to get a sense of belonging? Are they trying to get power? Are they trying to withdraw because they're feeling hurt, trying to protect themselves? Do they want to have a challenge? So there's look at the goal of the behavior, and I have this all written in my book based on how the parent's feeling. So the parent was feeling really annoyed with him kicking them, right? And then also feeling angry. So there's power and trying to get attention and trying to have power, which leads to parents being angry. So here's what they started doing. They started thinking, and the dad was really great at this. My son needs to have physical connection with me. Like he thought about that. So instead of reacting when kids are misbehaving, think, what can I do beforehand to help them less likely? It's like a child has a need, like this child was having a real need
Yes.
to feel connected. He could go on a path of what he was doing, kicking, hitting, right? Or so the parents, I was helping them figure out how could they guide their son by what they were doing to get a sense of connection in positive ways. So the dad started wrestling with his son every night. What a difference. They started doing what's called special time, where the dad would set the timer. And I said, this is crucial. You set the timer for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, very short period of time. And you say, I'm going to play whatever you want to play, as long as it was safe and no
Yes.
electronics, no TV, nothing outside, just connection. So when he did that and when he set the timer, what a difference it made. His son felt that connection. So the dad was first trying to play, he was trying to play, but he was trying to stop it by himself saying, it's time to stop. Didn't work. I said, set a timer. Then you can say, when the timer goes off, the timer says it's time to stop.
Yes. You know, in essence, misbehavior is a direct result of seeking. There's a need there. There's something that's missing. I remember having a client that had 4 children, and one of the things that they did, they made sure that they gave each child quality time. It's not how much time you spend with a child, it's the quality of the time that you spend
Yep.
with the child.
You're there 100%, right? You're
Right. When
totally engaged.
yes, totally engaged. And this father had taken his one son to a Braves baseball game because that's what his son loved to do. His daughter was in dance, and so he would go to her recitals and be there for her for that. And whatever the other 2 children gravitated towards, he made sure he spent time with them individually, as well as doing things as a family. But giving that undivided
Mhm.
attention
Mhm.
is so important. I know with my son, every Friday was his day. Whatever he wanted to do,
Mhm.
that's what we did, and it may be, well, Mom, let's just watch a movie. Okay, so we sit and watch movies and have popcorn. Another time he wanted to go-kart riding, so we went go-kart riding, and just finding things to do, just spending that quality time is so important. We get
Mhm.
so caught up in our lives and what we're
Yep.
doing and using these phones. And when you're dealing with your children, put your phones away. Give them that undivided attention, and you will find that the misbehavior will decrease.
Oh,
Because, and the other thing, the love language. We do languages and relationships and things like that. But understanding your child's love language and then operate from that strength, from that perspective. It makes all the difference in the world. It really, really does. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, you're right on. And so the mom started playing this game with her son when he started getting agitated. And she would do high, low, and she would have her son hit the hand wherever it went. So instead of hitting her rear, which is what he'd do, he was hitting the hand and laughing. There was
Change the whole attitude. The
whole
whole
yeah.
attitude.
So he was getting attention in a positive way. And
Yes.
I think she was doing something like a wrestling thing as well. Like there was three different things she started doing, and they were like amazed. He stopped hitting them. I mean, because before they would kept trying to stop him. So rather than controlling after the misbehavior has started,
Right.
think, what does my child need? What makes them misbehave? And what can I do ahead of time to help fulfill those needs? Because I'm going to tell you, folks, as a parent, your job is to give your child what they need. And
Yes.
you take your time, you take your time with your friends or whatever separate. But when you're with your child, it's really their needs that matter.
It really is. And that's what parents need to understand. I wrote this poem, Children Are People Too. Let me share it right quick.
I love your poems.
Thank you. Children are people too. Show them the good inside of you. Give them praise for tasks they do. See their light shine bright through the light which comes from inside of you. Children need all we desire so much: the love, the hug, the kiss, the tender touch. The attitudes we express to them are the messages they learn to send. From examples like you and me, our children grow to be what they see. Do you show hatred, indifference, or love? Do you yell and scream no matter what in spite of? Have you shared kind words with your child today? Have you truly listened to what they had to say? Or do you just ignore and continue on your way, hoping they get the message and go somewhere and play? Children are an extension of all that we are, and the most valued God-given gift by far. There are so many things they must grow to understand. We must guide and lead them with loving, outstretched hands. Teach and treat children as people too. See their light shine bright through the light which comes from inside of you. I wrote that poem when my son was 6 years old, and I wrote it as a reminder to me as to how I needed to be. And it was this one day, I was stressed. I was trying to hurry up and get ready for work. My son was the kid that woke up singing.
Oh
He
my
would
God.
wake up singing, and this one particular day, I was running late for work, and he was doing something, and I snapped at him. And he looked at me, and he said, "Why are you so mean to me?" Oh,
Oh,
that just broke my heart. And then I had to apologize, and I had to also make it clear that it wasn't him. It was me and and because kids pick up on your stresses,
all the
and
time.
that causes misbehavior as well. When they're picking up on your stresses, and you're wondering, why is my kid acting this way? What's wrong with my child? The question is, what's wrong with me? What am I doing that's causing this behavior?
Because that's where it can start. And when this whole name of the little talk that we're doing today is based on my own experience and really working hard to grow and change, because I didn't have good modeling of learning how to be connected and supportive. I felt love from my dad, but it was, but
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't. So I had to really work on this a lot, and I had to learn communication skills. I had training in 5 different parenting programs, and I was, like I said, had done over 650 in-person talks and developing myself. And so I wanted to have a close connection with my daughter when she was grown. And so we live in California. She moved to Southern California with her husband because they're San Diego, they're surfers. So, or he is. And, but the goal was, she said, if I move down here, we lived in the San Francisco area, which is hundreds of miles away. She said, at some point, you need to move down here. So last year, our daughter, my husband and I, our daughter moved us down, paid for us totally to come all the way down and move to her city where she is. So she can be near us and take care of us when needed. And and her husband is now doing that with his parents because they're both
Wow.
only children. So we've got to
Yes.
stick together.
Yes.
And so coming together, and I'm going to tell you, I think the big reason is of the three different roles: director, collaborator, and supporter. The third role of being a supporter is the most important to really learn, because this is the role you will play the whole part of your life. So when my daughter is going through challenges, I don't give her advice. I don't say, hey, should we work it out? She's very strong willed. She likes to work things out. She knows that she can talk to me and I'm not going to jump in and give her advice. That's what a
Exactly.
supporter is like. And so she doesn't have to like stay away from me in order to keep her privacy. And
And
so
isn't that
learn that.
beautiful? It is so beautiful. I remember my son was going through a thing and he called me and he just needed me to listen. And he said, Mom, I messed up and I gotta fix it. So he didn't call me for advice. He didn't call me for me to beat him up for saying what for doing what he did. He just needed he needed me to listen. And
Yeah.
he knows that that's what I will do. Now, my son is 43, and and he was an only child.
Mhm.
And we do have an awesome relationship. And for your daughter to want, and San Diego is beautiful. I absolutely love San Diego.
Sunshine out here. Yeah.
Yes, it is just beautiful. I love San Diego. And so you're in a beautiful place, a peaceful place, and you're with your daughter. And that's just so beautiful. Absolutely
Yeah.
beautiful. So
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
so the three keys are
So there's two different ways of looking at it. The first is the three keys are to learn the three different parenting roles. Learn when you should be a director and state it clearly, not mean. State it clearly. I'm making this decision. When to be a collaborator. Hey, we need to come up with a plan. We need to discuss this together, come up with a solution together. And supporter. This is when you're going to solve it. So kids know
yes.
when you're a director, there's no discussion. Collaborator, there's lots of discussion together. And supporter, it's up to them whether they want your input or any kind of thoughts. But learning that role and learning when to use it will make them feel safe around you. They're going to feel like you're not intruding into their life when you shouldn't. And that's what will make them want to be around you when you understand those three roles. That's really starting out with, that's the decide which role. Then you want to discover what's going on and then you want to do the actions. But the main thing is, though, knowing when to zip it. It's
Yes.
really important.
Yes. Yes. This is so awesome. And speaking of which, Cynthia is going to be one of the participants in a summit that's coming up September 15th, 16th, and 17th. Family Powerhouse. Greatness starts at home. And put it on your calendar. please save it in your calendar. September 15th, 16th, and 17th. It's in the evening from 5 to 8:30, 9 o'clock p.m. And it's for the entire family, not just the parents, but the entire family. So save it in your calendar. You'll be hearing more about it. And again, I'm just honored that Cynthia is going to be a part of this. We're going to have a panel during the times of my show that's scheduled, and she's going to be one of the panelists. And we're talking about some other things that she may be able to do during the course of this conference. And so I want you to share with us some other key things that may be from your book. And now where can people get your book? And also I need to put this gift that you have.
Yes. Yeah, you can it's available in audio, available paperback, and available by ebook, kind of, many places. I know for sure Amazon has it. And you can easily get that there. So the idea of ally parenting again is continually thinking, how do I support my child? How do I also take care of my own needs? How do I set my own personal boundaries? How do I respectfully use respectful language that is not going to hurt their self-esteem? That's what's really crucial as a parent.
Absolutely.
Be mindful about that.
Please be mindful about that. Having grown up, being told things like, you're stupid, you're dumb, you're fat, you're ugly, you're nothing, you'll never be anything, by adults, as well as being bullied by peers. Parents, uplift your children, encourage your children. When they are misbehaving, dig into why they're misbehaving.
Right. Yes.
And then look at, how can I turn that around without having to whip them, without having to yell at them, because yelling is also very traumatizing. It is traumatizing.
Fearful. Fear
yes,
inside.
Yes. We've got 3 minutes. And oh my God, just please take heed to how you're speaking to your children. Don't call them names. Don't, please. You don't know the impact that can have. And don't allow them, if you have more than one child, don't allow them to do it to each other. And don't let them see you doing it to other people either. Because that's what happens. Kids grow up and see this stuff. I do 21 misconceived behaviors, looking at the cause, the indication, the impact, and the alternatives. And that's something everybody needs to understand and really look at working on, because there are things that we all are guilty of: being defensive, stonewalling, the blame game, character attack, all of those things. And the impact of these things, especially on your children, can be, in some cases, irreparable.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you the last word.
So really see parenting as an opportunity for personal growth. Like, that's what it is. To support a child to develop who they are. Think of it as, how can I change? Because when I change first, then I'm going to get a different response from my child.
Yes.
You have a lot more power by changing yourself first.
Absolutely. Be the change you want to see. Be the change you want to see. Okay, listen, thank you so much. This has been so awesome. I appreciate you so much. I'm looking forward to you participating in the Family Summit in September. Mark your calendars, everybody, because it's going to be an awesome experience, not only for parents, but also for their children. And again, Cynthia came at the last minute because my guest was a no-show, and so I just appreciate all things work together for good. It was meant for you to be here today.
Yeah, I love
So
it.
thank you. So I'm going to pull you down, close this out, and if you could hold on, don't go anywhere. Listen, thank you guys, and please support the Vera Thomas Show, and you can donate by going to, oh, where is it? Going to Cash App, Instill Great, or Venmo, VT1117. Your support is really appreciated and needed because it costs to do these podcasts and video shows. So God bless you, and we'll see you next week. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Let's talk about it on the Vera Thomas Show.